to be built. And if you don't get this transportation bill passed for a longer period of time, we won't be going back to work. Is that the senator's understanding when he meets with groups in his office?
Yeah, exactly. I have met with the Rhode Island road builders who are concerned about where the work is going to be and how much of it is going to get done. As I said in my earlier remarks, I've met with our State Director of Transportation. I've met with the mayor of our capital city, which has a very significant highway construction project that needs to get done in that city that would provide an enormous number of jobs in that city at a time when Rhode Island still has over 10% unemployment. So we need these jobs. That project needs to be done. That infrastructure is crumbling. It's a land bridge. It goes through the city above other roads. It's I-95. It's our main artery for the entire Northeast, and it's in such poor shape that they've had to put planks across between the I-beams that hold up the roadway, and the planks are there so that the pieces of roadway that are falling in don't land on the cars driving by on the roads underneath. Amtrak, the main rail artery for the Northeast, goes right under the same highway, same deal. They've got the planks up overhead to keep the roadway from falling in on the trains below. So this is an urgent matter, and it's certainly the road construction industry, but it's everybody who wants jobs and economic redevelopment that's around this infrastructure. It's the mayors that are concerned about it, and frankly, it's people who drive over these highways and want to know, this thing is 50 years old. It's time to rebuild it. Let's get on with it. This shouldn't be complicated.
Well, what the senator may be interested to know, in Louisiana, as he said, he had 9,000 jobs at risk. In Rhode Island, we have 26,700 jobs at risk in Louisiana. I mean, this is a very significant deal and challenge for all of our states. Now, we don't have the trouble of the winter and the summer, but unfortunately, Louisiana does have one of the largest percentages of bridges that are deficient in the nation. We also, because we have to build on such soft and unsettling lands, need to have, repair money readily available so that our people can evacuate in times of hurricanes and natural disasters. We've been working, Senator, you may be familiar with the area because you've got friends and relatives in our state, of the I-49 South and I-49 North, but particularly I-49 South that connects New Orleans to Lafayette in a loop around South Louisiana, which is America's energy coast. That's so important for not only saving those wetlands and that great industry of fisheries, but also supporting oil and gas production. That highway is yet to be built in a nation that depends on the resources that we send to your state and to other parts of the nation. So I'm like you. I can't for the life of me figure out why the House would not move with more quick action to pass a longer-term bill. Now, maybe if they can get just anything out of the House, we could get to conference and start negotiating some things that might be better than a 3-month short-term authorization, which, Mr. President, I hear nothing but complaints from everyone, from the left of the environmental movement to the right of the business community. They said, Senator, we can't live with these short-term authorizations. We need 2 years. We need 3 years. We need 5 years. We need something that we can build on, count on, budget for, and depend on. Otherwise, it's too expensive. It's start-and-stop projects. You have to lay off a crew, then hire them the next day, or you can't place your orders in an efficient fashion. And you know, the senator from Rhode Island knows you just raise up the cost of all the projects. So why would a House claim to want to be so fiscally conservative but act in such a way that is the opposite, that is really making all of these projects more expensive? So I think the senator from Rhode Island is absolutely correct, and I would like to join him on the floor, and I hope our colleagues every night to come to this floor and say it is time to pass this transportation bill. It's time to help Colorado, New Mexico, Louisiana, Rhode Island, to put jobs, to get people back to work, and to fix this crumbling infrastructure. And, Mr. President, 9 is enough. I mean, the cat has 9 lives. You know, this cat has run out of opportunities. I mean, this is the 9th short-term authorization. I mean, we have got to move to a more long-term, sustainable infrastructure plan for America. This is truly an embarrassment, I have to say to my friend. So I want to just thank you for your leadership, and I will join you in subsequent evenings on the floor to try to raise this issue and explain to the American public, not the inside baseball and the inside politics, but to explain what's the most important thing about this is we need the jobs, and we need them now.
Yeah. And I very much appreciate the senator from Louisiana's tenacity on this subject. It's a characteristic of hers, but it's always a good thing to be her teammate and have that tenacity deployed on your side. So I'm delighted that she's here. As Senator Landrieu said, she has bridges with difficulties. 1 in 5 of Rhode Island bridges is deemed structurally deficient. 1 in 3 highway miles is in poor to mediocre condition. This is work that really needs to be done. The American Society of Engineers gives our infrastructure on average a D rating. That's the trouble that we're in, and we can't sort this out. And so I intend to urge as many of my colleagues as can to come to the floor, and I hope we can get the floor covered by some of our colleagues on a literally daily basis until we get this resolved, and point out the places where jobs are falling off around the country because this wasn't done, where people are getting laid off around the country because this isn't getting done. There's a direct link between jobs not getting put on the list, funds not getting put out for those jobs, and folks not getting employed. And in this economy, we can't afford that, and we certainly can't afford it for internal, insider, Washington, D.C. reasons. So I thank the presiding officer, and I yield the floor. I note the absence of a quorum.
Mr. Akaka.
Mr. President,
Majority Leader.
as unanimous consent, we now proceed with dispensing with the quorum call.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent that we now proceed to period of morning business. Senators allowed to speak for up to 10 minutes each.
Without objection.
Due to a clerical error, the printout of amendment number 2000, which was filed at the desk last evening, had missing pages. I ask consent that the amendment be modified in additional pages at the desk with the additional pages at the desk. Further, that the cloture motion filed earlier today with respect to Amendment 2000 be applicable to Amendment 2000 as modified.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I now ask unanimous consent the Senate proceed to SRS 420.
The clerk will report.
SRS 420, designating April 5th, 2012 as Gold Star Wives Day.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection, the Senate will proceed.
I ask unanimous consent the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, the motion we consider be laid upon the table.
Without objection.
I ask consent that the Senate now proceed to SRS 421.
The clerk will report.
SRS 421, designating April 20th through 22nd, 2012 as Global Youth Service Day.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, the motion we consider be laid on the table.
Without objection.
I ask that we now be permitted to proceed to SRS 422.
The clerk will report.
SRS 422, commending and congratulating the University of Kentucky men's basketball team for winning its 8th Division I National Collegiate Athletic Association championship.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent that the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, the motion we consider be laid on the table.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent the Senate proceed to SRS 423.
Clerk will report.
SRS 423, congratulating Western Washington University for winning the 2012 National Collegiate Athletic Association Division II Men's Basketball Championship.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, the motion we consider be laid on the table. There be no intervening action or debate, and any statements related to this matter appear in the record at the appropriate place.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate completes the business day, the Senate adjourn until tomorrow, Wednesday, April 18th at 9:30 in the morning. Following the prayer and the pledge, journal proceedings be approved today. The morning hour be deemed expired. Excuse me. The time for the two leaders be reserved for use later in the day. The following any leader remarks, the Senate resume consideration of the motion to proceed S 1925, the Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act. With the first hour equally divided and controlled between two leaders or the designees.
Without objection.
I ask that the majority control the first 30 minutes, Republicans the second 30 minutes.
Without objection.
Today, cloture was filed on the substitute amendment to the Postal Reform Bill and underlying bill. If no agreement is reached, the first cloture vote will be Thursday morning. I do hope, Mr. President, an agreement can be reached. For the information to all senators, the filing deadline for first-degree amendments to the substitute as modified is 1 p.m. If there's no further business to come before the Senate, I ask you to adjourn under the previous order.
The Senate stands adjourned until 9:30 a.m. tomorrow.